Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to the channel. And with the new year's now upon us, I thought it'd be a great time to take a look back at the best games that released in the year of 2021. More or less, this is pretty much my Game of the Year edition, but instead of just talking about one specific game, we're going to be talking about 15 different games in this video. And I really do genuinely believe that 2021 was a great year for gamers. There was a lot of variety in 2021. Some genres that don't typically get love really shined this year, and we also saw several games make a major comeback. And one of the cool things is that it really didn't matter what platform you played on, whether that be Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, or PC. There was really some great games for every platform. So I can truthfully say that I really enjoyed 2021, and hopefully you did as well. With that said, of course, all of this is only my opinion, so do keep that in mind. But other than that, let's just go and jump right into the list. And to start this list off, I have a classic style of JRPG being Bravely Default 2. Now, I just feel like 2021 was a fantastic year in general for JRPGs, and really there's a number of different games that I could have picked from this genre, whether that be Shin Megami Tensei 5, there was Neo: The World Ends With You, but at the end of the day, Bravely Default 2 is the one that spoke to me the most. Now, maybe you like one of those other games more, and I completely understand that as well. They're great games as well, but for me, I just love the combat when it comes to Bravely Default 2. Because you have all of these different jobs that you can mix and match with your characters, there's just a ton of strategy when it comes to this game, and it offers a real challenge. You're not just going to be able to one-shot everything or just breeze your way through. You're going to have to incorporate some real strategy, and I think that if you like an in-depth combat system, I think Bravely Default 2 has a lot to offer. In a world where we haven't gotten a new Metal Gear Solid or Splinter Cell game in years, Hitman without a doubt has become the best stealth-based series in recent years, and Hitman 3 is probably IO's best work yet. If you've played Hitman 1 or 2, you probably know what you're getting yourself into, but you're basically put into a playground where you have to assassinate your target as you see fit. They allow for your creativity to take over, and thanks to the amazing level design in this game, there's no set one way to accomplish your goal. You can either take a straightforward approach or be as creative as possible and slowly but methodically form a strategy and become a true Hitman. Now, this next one here was a little polarizing when it first released, being Returnal. On one side of things, in terms of its mechanics, Returnal is an excellent game. It's got great third-person shooting mechanics that really incorporates that arcade-style gameplay that Housemarque is so well known for. Housemarque, of course, has worked on games in the past such as Resogun, and they somehow brought this over into a AAA experience, and they just knocked it out of the park. This game is a blast to play. However, this is a roguelike experience, which means when you die, you have to start back from the beginning. And when this game first released, they didn't exactly have a suspend system, which is kind of a mistake for a game like this. Not everybody's going to want to commit the time to actually make it all the way to the end, and because this is a very challenging game, it was definitely an odd decision. However, here recently, they have incorporated a new update to include a suspend system, so if the challenge of this game originally did throw you off, I do recommend jumping back into Returnal, because once again, this is a great game in terms of its gameplay and atmosphere on top of that. Now, it's not exactly some big secret that I am a big fan of the Yakuza franchise, and, well, we did get a new entry this year being Lost Judgment. Now, if you've played these games in the past, you pretty much know what to expect. It's not going to be revolutionary or anything, but if you like single-player story-driven experiences, then I believe that Lost Judgment is a must-play game. There's just twists and turns around every single corner, and while it does have a goofy sense of humor, it also has a serious and thrilling story to follow. Lost Judgment also oozes atmosphere being located in Japan. It really does make you feel as if you're there. And, well, on top of that, it's just a fun game to play. This is a beat-em-up style game at heart, and while it's a little absurd, it's never short of fun. Next up here, I have Kena Bridge of Spirits, which is a standout independent game that released in 2021. Not only is this game absolutely gorgeous, which we could see from the very first moment that we laid eyes on this game, but in terms of gameplay, it actually kind of plays similar to your classic Zelda games. And hey, as a big Zelda fan, especially your classic Zelda games, yeah, I'm all for that. Kena Bridge of Spirits, though, has this beautifully crafted semi-open world that as you unlock more abilities, you can progress even further. I think where this game's the most surprising, though, is in terms of its combat. At first, it does seem a little simplistic, but as you gain additional abilities, there's a little bit more depth to it than what you might realize. It will offer a challenge at times. Then you also have plenty of puzzles along the way, and then some nice platforming as well. And I think just in terms of its overall gameplay, I mean, not only is this game pretty to look at, but it is fun to play. In recent years, Monster Hunter has risen in popularity thanks to the introduction to Monster Hunter World. However, unfortunately, Nintendo was kind of missing out on the Monster Hunter experience until Monster Hunter Rise was specifically developed with the Nintendo Switch in mind. And Capcom did a great job at making this game feel perfect on the Nintendo Switch, whether you want to play in handheld mode or on your TV. Not only is this game a full-fledged Monster Hunter game, but it has a great art style that really makes it stand out on the Switch. It even has a plethora of new mechanics that really advances that Monster Hunter formula. They really tried to improve the traversal system within Monster Hunter, and I think that they did just that. Of course, as usual, you have all kinds of interesting monsters to hunt down with their own unique behaviors that really makes them feel lifelike, but also with the traversal in this game, you have more verticality than ever before. It just adds an extra little layer to the already excellent formula in the Monster Hunter franchise. If you don't have a Nintendo Switch though, do keep an eye out for the PC version, which will be releasing on January 12th of 2022. In my opinion, we don't really get enough of these big AAA style of JRPGs with just great production value. But here we have Tales of Arise. The Tales of series is a long-running franchise, but here with Tales of Arise, it really just seems like they took everything just a step further. They took the extra time to make a truly excellent game, and I think they did exactly that. They completely overhauled the visuals with Unreal Engine, and this game looks absolutely gorgeous with its art style. It has fun combat where you can play as a team and do these insane looking combos, and it also has an interesting story. In typical fashion when it comes to JRPGs, you do play as an amnesic character, though the overall premise with you playing as a slave that can feel no pain is really interesting, especially with the ongoing dynamic across all of the characters. Deathloop is one of the most interesting games on this list, not just because of how good it is, because it is excellent, but Deathloop really is one of the most innovative games that's not only released in 2021, but just period. Now, Arcane has always kind of excelled when it comes to game design and giving players the choice in how they want to complete their goal, and that's exactly what you see with Deathloop, though this one might be their most inventive yet. So basically, you play as this guy named Colt that wakes up on an island, and he keeps reliving the same day over and over again. You go out and murder, then you die, then you repeat. This happens time and time again, and the only way to break this loop is by killing 8 different leaders across the entire island in a single given day. Yeah, that sounds like quite a challenge, but as you strategize and unlock more abilities, you'll find new and easier ways to assassinate your targets. Maybe you find a new route that you didn't see before that kind of opens up in a different time of the day. It really rewards you for your critical thinking and strategizing for each day. Once again, though, Arcane just combined brilliant level design with elegant game design. Alright, so here I have Forza Horizon 5, which is actually the highest rated game for the entire year, and there is a very good reason for that. Forza Horizon 5 is probably one of the best racing games that I have ever played, disregarding a kart racing game. Kart racing games are just a little bit different, but Forza Horizon 5 is insanely fun, and it is set in a gorgeous open world style of game in Mexico. Some of the set pieces in this game are actually incredible. You can drive to the top of an active volcano, you can race in jungles, there's desert sandstorms, and it is just so cool to see all of the different set pieces that they have here in Forza Horizon 5. There's a lot of variety here, both in terms of vehicles as well as landscapes. The driving mechanics are flawless, and most importantly, this game is just a lot of fun. If you like racing games even slightly, you need to play Forza Horizon 5. It's been 8 long years since we've seen a brand new Ratchet & Clank game. Of course, they did have that remake for the PlayStation 4, but in terms of a brand new Ratchet & Clank game, it's been a little while, but here we have Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart for the PlayStation 5. Now, obviously, the big selling point for Ratchet & Clank this generation was the solid-state drive and how you can zip from point to point in a blink of an eye, but there's so much more going for Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart than just that. This is actually just an insanely fun game, as you would expect from really any of Insomniac's games. They know how to incorporate fun gameplay with a bunch of different gadgets to just cause pure chaos, and you're going to get exactly that with Rift Apart. And of course, while it is fun to shoot things and everything, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart is also a platformer at heart, so you got some pretty good platforming sections in this game as well. I also do think it has an enjoyable story with charming characters. I'm not going to sit here and say that the story is groundbreaking or anything, but it's still enjoyable nonetheless. It's only been a little bit over a year since the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series has launched, and, well, we've already gotten a brand new Resident Evil game, being Resident Evil Village. Village, yet again, continues that path as being a first-person shooter, much like Resident Evil 7. And I have to say, even though the original Resident Evil games were set in third person, these games fit perfectly in first person as well. They still, of course, have a similar gameplay, which kind of plays out like a Metroidvania style of game. You have to solve different puzzles and navigate a terrifying and horrific world. And with Village in specific, this one is just a little bit more dynamic than some of the previous games. You're not just running away from zombies this time, but rather you're also going to be running away from werewolves and like 7-foot tall vampire ladies. And I mean, it just seems like there's a new enemy around every single corner. This will absolutely keep you on your toes. And I think it also has some really fun boss encounters as well. And to just kind of top it off, I think Resident Evil Village has an interesting story. It's a little chaotic, to say the least, a little bizarre even at times, but still interesting nonetheless, and easily one of the best games to release in 2021. The last time we had gotten a new 2D Metroid game was back in 2002, being Metroid Fusion. So to say that fans have been waiting for a new 2D Metroid for a long time is a bit of an understatement, to say the least. But here we are. Finally, Nintendo decided to do something with this franchise as Metroid Dread released in the year of 2021, and I have to say, the wait was well worth it. In typical fashion, Samus once again finds herself on an alien planet without any of her abilities. She then needs to navigate its large and expansive world, and I do mean large when it comes to Metroid Dread. It is quite the labyrinth to explore, and you, of course, do need to unlock new abilities to reach new locations that you previously couldn't access. That's one of the beauties when it comes to the Metroidvania genre, though. You always feel like you're progressing forward, and I think Metroid Dread does that brilliantly, both in terms of its navigation as well as with its combat. See, that's one of the things about this particular genre here, is because in recent years, we've kind of seen the rise of the Metroidvania genre. With games like Ori and the Will of the Wisp and Hollow Knight, this genre has been getting a lot more attention. So how does Metroid Dread fit in? Well, it doesn't just fit in, it once again rises right to the top. This is one of the best within this genre. It takes the classic Metroid formula that you know and love so much, but it adds a different dimension to it. There's a horror aspect to it as you're running away from enemy robots that are very formidable foes. They will destroy you. So there's that element of terror to this game. It's also challenging. The world is atmospheric. It's got an interesting story. It's just the whole package. So if you like Metroidvanias or you like Metroid, well, Metroid Dread really is one of the best. Okay, so the next three games here were really difficult for me to figure out which order to place them, because I really think that all three of these games are absolutely amazing in their own right. So honestly, you could probably swap these in and out if you want, but I had to go with It Takes Two here for its just superb cooperative gameplay. This is one of the most unique and creative games that I have flat out ever played. I'm not talking about just in the year of 2021. I'm talking about ever. On the surface, It Takes Two is a mandatory cooperative platforming experience, but I really don't think that justifies what this game actually is. In truth, It Takes Two is constantly changing, and it's just filled with surprises. Every single level is completely different than the last, and just when you think that they cannot possibly get any more creative with their level design and gameplay, well, then you play the next level and it just shocks you all over again. I don't know if I've ever played a game that has done that to me before, but It Takes Two is an absolute masterpiece. Again, this is a mandatory cooperative experience that asks you to work together to accomplish your goals. But the thing about this game is that it comes with a free friend pass, so you can actually invite any of your online friends and they can play the game with you completely free of charge. So that's not really a problem at all. All I know though is that this is a brilliant game in terms of its gameplay, in terms of its creativity, as well as with its story that's both surprisingly humorous and deep at the same time. If anything, I think It Takes Two will go down as one of the greatest cooperative games ever made. Now, if you're looking more for a single-player experience that you can play by yourself, I also have Psychonauts 2, which is actually yet another 3D platformer. This is more of your classic 3D platformer, though, where you play as a Psychonaut, being Rasputin, and you can actually infiltrate the minds of different characters. Now, this is really interesting both in terms of its story as well as its gameplay. As you enter people's minds, not only are you facing some of their innermost demons and personal thoughts, which can kind of touch up on some mental illnesses, and they handle this superbly well. The story in this game is phenomenally told, but also in terms of its creativity. Because each world is located in somebody's mind, you can really break the boundaries of what you can do in terms of level design. Double Fine really knocked it out of the park in terms of level design in this game, and I can really say that about a lot of things when it comes to Psychonauts 2. It's got a deep and engaging story with some quirky and interesting characters, to say the least, and that's something that I think Double Fine really handled perfectly. This game does have some serious plot points, but it's also humorous at the same time, so they navigated between being emotionally engaging and then humorous with a striking balance. I think Double Fine did a great job with the storytelling, but it goes beyond that because I also really have to praise the gameplay. This game is top-notch in terms of its collectathon platforming. It's got a great world to explore, it's got hidden and devious items to find throughout, and it's got a lot of fun abilities to play around with as well. I think for me, this is a genre that I've always really liked, but up until this point, my favorite was probably Banjo-Kazooie. But after Psychonauts 2, yeah, this one might have topped even that, because that's how much I really liked this game. And also because of its unique and attractive art style, I might add, I feel like Psychonauts 2 is going to be a bit of a timeless classic that fans can really enjoy for decades to come. And at the number one spot, I have none other than Halo Infinite. Yes, Halo is back in a big way. And for me, the reason I chose Halo Infinite is not just because it has good single player, but also because it has a fantastic competitive multiplayer. Whereas some games might only be good at single player, or other games might only be good at multiplayer, Halo Infinite somehow manages to do both of those extremely well. It does have a good single player campaign with an interesting story. I actually think that Master Chief is more relatable in this game than any of the previous Halo games in general. There's some really emotional beats when it comes to Halo Infinite, and the gameplay in general just kind of mixes your old school Halo in with your new school. You got some new abilities such as the grappling hook, which is a little overpowered in my opinion when it comes to its single player campaign, but being located in more of an open world style of game this time, that grappling hook is a lot of fun and very useful as well. And then when it comes to the competitive multiplayer, and I've said this several times on the channel, I legitimately believe that this is one of the best competitive multiplayer games that I have played in years. I still cannot put this game down. I'm constantly playing it because it just keeps bringing me in over and over again. Just from the mechanics, it feels right to play. Halo's always kind of felt unique when it comes to first-person shooters, as nothing else really plays like it, and it does involve a lot of skill to play at a high level. And with Halo Infinite, it really shows that and separates itself from some of the competitors on the market right now. All in all, though, I know some fans out there were getting a little frustrated with 343, especially with Halo 4 and Halo 5, but it seems like 343 finally got it right here with Halo Infinite. Like I said, its single-player campaign is good, its competitive multiplayer is good, and this game is just the entire package, which is really rare to see in a year of 2021, to have a game have a good single-player campaign as well as a good competitive multiplayer. Anyways, though, that's it for this list, but if I forgot to mention any of your favorite games, make sure to let me know in the comments below. With that said, though, make sure to hit the bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.